Morena koutou, welcome to our last meeting of the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board, Friday, 5th of September for 2025. We'll start out here this morning with a prayer. Me anoi tātou. Kia hora te marino, kia whakapapa kaunanu te moana hei huarahi mā tātou I te rangi nei, aroha atu, aroha mai, tātou, ia tātou katoa, hui e, tai ki e. Kia ora everybody and welcome to our last meeting for our triennium. Welcome to the members of the public who are with us in our meeting today and a special welcome to anybody that's online. I think Matua Bay Kappa is online, Councillor Kappa is online with us today. I've got no announcements this morning, so we're going to get straight into our meeting this morning with any apologies or conflicts of interest. Do we have any apologies from any members? We have one, received one from member Edwards. I did receive a apology from Councillor Kappa, but I see he's online. He's online. Great. Now I'll move that apology be accepted. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Member Freya.
So just to clarify, Malima, the apology was for not being here, or the apology was for being here today?
Well, the apology was for not being here, but he is here, so is Councillor Rakena.
Oh, morena Councillor Rakena.
To clarify, Madam Chair, I failed to state that I wasn't going to be there in person, but I was going to jump online. My apologies for not clarifying that.
Okay, all those in favour? Aye. Carried. Page 7, no, yes, we're still on page 7 and we have public forum first, and in public forum we welcome Linda Bracken from the Kaikohe Business Association. Kia ora, Linda.
First of all, thank you so much for your service for the last 3 years. The Kaikohe Business Association. Thank you for the community and look forward to see something back here. Quick update, so beautification, CCTV cameras, our campus closed, market happening, and related back to the Christmas parade, I'm not sure doesn't show up on camera. So the beautification of the Kaikohe Main Street, that is tracking really well, and we'll hear from Emma a bit later on. We've done our first engagement this week with the shop owners and some business owners, and very, very positive response. Looking at Rosine Paints, Richard there has communicated back that he is keen to look at stage 2, which is maybe discounted paints, so looking at the next stage. We need to get that happening probably within 3 months of the clip. CCTV cameras, we've been doing a gap analysis. We've involved a separate contractor to go out and look at the CCTV camera that is supporting the whole of the region. We're also engaging with other district council and collaborating with Stephen Billy as well, so we're getting a better picture throughout the north as to what we've got in the way of cameras with the business association and where the gaps are that we need to fill. That does include the Hokianga, Raleigh, looking at what's needed in the future over there. It does also include some of the fibre connections that are maybe needed for New Zealand that is yet to open up the whole country. It's just been in that area. Market. So normally we have a Thursday market. We're now starting later on this month to trial a Saturday market as well. So we're seeing that reason to stop in Kaikohe, it's actually a pretty exciting time of the year to look at what is going ahead. For those of you who remember September the 17th, meet candidates. So that's over at Innovation Park, and we've been trying to get something happening over the Hokianga as well. So that's tomorrow. I believe that the Ratepayers Association has organised something, but we're working with Hokianga Tourism to try and get some other events happening over there so people don't have to travel all the way here. Campus site, on the social media yesterday, it said that the refuge, the sewage treatment block is closed for this period of time. We've had ongoing issues, fully aware of that because the next stop is Pioneer Village. Very concerned because the last time they did a major clean on that area there, they did a bit of a backflow problem and that came back into the toilets within the building that then needed to be completely sanitised and cleaned down. So there's something major happening there, and discussions this morning said they're even having some issues down at the Christian Schools block toilet. So it could be stuff going in there, just making sure that that's one of our concerns. Christmas parade, I'll cover it a little bit later on, but I'm excited about what I'm seeing happening within the town. Local incentives, like a little girl going out picking up rubbish, new rubbish bins. So just looking at trying to tidy things up and move ahead. And hopefully once we've got the new community board, whoever they are, we can go ahead and leave some bounds. So thank you very much for that. Questions? No, before.
Yeah. Another question. The markets.
Yep.
What kind of compliance requirements were there for an extension to Saturday? Does anyone know what was done? Did someone just make a decision, hey, let's do it on Saturday, set it out of time?
That one you have to do for the market organisers, which would be Mike Sure, and the Steve back there. I know he's been working on that land with the river, looking at moving forward.
Just whakamihi kia koe mo mahi.
Sorry, my dear here.
Just a mahi to you, Freya, for all your work that you do in our community here in Kaikohe. And thank you. Often we raise little snippets of we're working with Hokianga, and that's really awesome. So just took a mahi kia koe te ranga today, te wana.
Thank you.
Kia ora, tautoko member Celia. Thank you, Linda. Moving into our funding application speakers. Linda will give you a little bit of a rest and we'll move into the Man versus Wild funding application. We've got Brian VC here. No, we haven't. No. We've got Wally Te Huia here. So Wally, you'll be familiar with the 5 minutes that you get to speak to us, and if there's any time left over, we may have some questions for you. Thank you.
Just an apology from Brian. Brian got the flu from the Australian office this morning. It's the reason why I can't make it. So I brought Monty, who's been part of our co-op in the day one, and hopefully wanted to share a little bit what these things learning from the co-op. I guess the key thing for us here is to just see the change in the men. We had 10 new prison release fellows that come out of prison this year that we had on our campus here, and there's a lot of change in their life and a lot of change in actually in and also change within their plans. We've had our second year with bringing on youth that I work with through the police, and it's been exciting, it's been rewarding, and connecting our youth with the youth that's come on our team. I think we had over 30 men this year, the beginning of the year, and it's been a life changing for us. It's continued. We're really excited for next year. It's going to be a little bit bigger next year. It's made connections with one Russian community, and these are the guys that come over to work in Waikato and troops industry that's over there. I've made connections to the team to come on board, but our tank next year, it's exciting. So we're a single pump. And just wanted to quickly get one here. And it's a little piece of work within our community on what's going on here. And it's about reaching out to our men and our young people. And it's just change of life within the community. So I just want to invite Monty up to share maybe a little bit about what we're doing and what we're doing.
Good everybody. As an administration, I've lived in this town for the last 15 years. I told my children were born and bred here, and we love this town very dearly. So, I don't work as I actually minister as a community chaplain, and so part of my work is what I did. I worked at Ngāwhai prison for 9 years and worked with our tāngata. Saw a real need for these men when it's actually easy to put them in the prison system. When they get out here, this is when everything hits the fan. So we worked very closely with a lot of these men. Over the 9 years, I thought I knew a lot about the trial. That was a real learning part for me. And as it happens, this Friday we'll be doing community. We're working hard at the hub, we're Friday. So we have a recovery Tuesday, so we can go and just share our relationship with God. And this is something that can help with their lives. And I guess one of the big things that we see, a lot of these men come to our camps and they love them, because it just gets them into the community, gets your hands into the water. And fishing is, and it connects you with not only with the water area, but also gives a connection with the families. One of the big things that I see in our community, I've been working as a community chaplain for the last 2 years, and we see a lot of what's happening with the epidemic in our town. And what it is actually bringing some real help into this community and family. I mean, sometimes there's no means that they can really get out there and connect with friends because a lot of their families are dysfunctional. So part of this is all part of just working in that community and bringing these sons together. We have sons and fathers coming together. And so along the body, we've been trying to talk about going to Australia. He informs us that he is going to come back every now and then when he's going to bring some of the our brothers from over there, so Aboriginal and whoever wants to come up to them. So we were looking forward to that, so we can hold him to that. So you see him coming up on the airport, we're going to send a couple of men down quick. But we are very thankful for his support, and we're going to we are going to miss him. We're going to be ringing him quite a lot over here in Australia and saying, well, how can you help? And he's always been a big part of this community, our youth, as we all know. And we just hope that something else comes, steps into the gap. So that's one of the things that I guess as Christians we always pray for people to come into the harvest field. So that's enough from me, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Monty. Thank you, Wally. Any part-time? Eva McVeigh.
Tēnā korua. Yeah, I love the kaupapa. I just have one question. How many men are you expecting to come for the application that you've put in here?
There is a limit on the facility in the grounds, the camping grounds, I think it's about 40.
Okay.
I think it's about
It says 35 in the application.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
I read it wrong.
Yeah. If we can go bigger, yeah. Thank you.
Fine. Thank you, Wally, and I'm sad to hear that you're moving away from us. Thank you for all the work that you've done in our town. We really appreciate it, the tautoko you've given us all. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Monty. All right, Moving on to our next applicant, Hospice Mid-North, Vanya Hemlin. Kia ora, Vanya.
Kia ora. Thank you for having me. This is really wonderful opportunity. As you know, hospice, we provide specialist care. Our region runs from Kaikohe all the way to Waigamaki and up to Purple Bay. So our region is quite large. We now only get 37% of the government funding. Now, it's not that the funding is reducing, it's the need is growing and the funding is increasing with it. So it sounds like we're saying the government's not, but it's just, when I started a couple of years ago, we were 80 patients whereabouts. We now have 100 homes. So there's a real struggle financially to continue our service. There is no money. Then we were very, very devastated to find a couple of months ago that we found 50 mattresses were finished. They've reached they were in like a vinyl, so they actually have to be able to see what's inside, and now they're not good for our patients because bed sores, things like that, but you start getting pressure points and things. We did not know this. Obviously, we would have planned for it, but we did not know this. So we had 15 cash pretty much not fit for purpose. Very kindly, we got some funding from the Islands Community Board for Hartford mattresses, and we're wondering if you would consider 7 mattresses. I think we've got 8 from you and 7 from you. 45% of our patients are in Hokianga and Kaikohe. So so we're just wondering if we can spread the load, the community boards and rate to help us meet this need, because it actually is quite dire, and there's no fat in the system. We now in the meat and the bone, so
Thank you, Vanya. Any questions from any members?
Yep. Do you have a waiting list? Is there a waiting list of people waiting to get into hospice?
We are really hoping that we don't go there. Whangarei is now there. South Auckland is generally the way, waitlisting. Don't end up making it to hospice. We're doing everything we can we've been looking at vehicles, we've been looking at every single way that we can save costs so we're not waitlisting. But I think come next year we'll go back to what we've been doing.
How much funding do you get from the actual Cancer Society for hospice? I know it's a bit of none.
We're not connected. We're not connected. We get 37% from the bottle water, and then the rest is the community. It's just absolutely mind-boggling. Grants. We haven't really ventured into grants. Now we're having to, because obviously there's lots of community groups. There's fantastic co-op and things that's happening, so we try not to. But we are at that stage where we just have to. When we get a request, my goodness, it just absolutely saves us, and it's absolutely wonderful. So those are our funding streams.
Thank you. Just a question for me. I just noticed in your number of members you had 400 in the application.
Yeah, so we have 300 volunteers. We have 100 patients. I mean, it depends how you slice the dice. We've got 35 staff. So,
Thank you.
So what's driving the increase in the demand? It's not that more people are dying, is it?
It's not more people dying, it's just we're getting too good at medical. So we've got this huge trajectory coming. We've known about it for 50 years. They call it the bubble, the boomer bubble. Anyway, we got this huge increase in population, and we live longer. So normally an illness might quicker than it is now. People are living well longer. they have quality of life with a life and illness, and so we're supporting more people, and it's also that we're supporting the other big changes, the sort of complex. They might have cancer, they might have Alzheimer's, they might have 5 things going on, and specialist palliative care is about living with a life limiting illness and comfort, and dignity, so it's not painful. There was a patient was interviewed last year. If she was so disappointed she didn't know about hospice. She thought hospice was dead. And she said she'd been in bed for a year. She was only over 35 or something. She'd been in bed for a year. She went under hospice. Hospice got her managed her symptoms properly. She was able to get up and about and play with the kids. So, longer, more patients and for longer. So that's the big increase. And it's not the baby boomers either, because it's right into 35, 50, that will be shifting. Yeah, we'll be looking at 300 years. Yeah.
Thank you, Vanya. No further questions from any members. Thank you, and thank you for the work that hospice does.
Just not a question. Just down, there's a green coloured shop just down there, and they get a lot of second-hand and good quality, sometimes new.
Which, just down the road?
Kaikohe-Hokianga, down in the right-hand side of town towards it's the name of the place. Just, I call it all that, but it's not actually called that. You go down there, just pop in and have a look, and ask questions. Ask for Kaikohe-Hokianga.
Okay.
And you'll see it, but
If it's the same people I'm thinking of, there's a lady we support who gives away lots of clothing, and we bring over clothing for them. It's not that one.
I don't know. You may do.
We try to connect with the community as much as we can.
But pop and see them, because they pick up a lot of various things that are from important.
Wonderful. Thank
They
you.
may add beds and everything else.
Yeah,
They used to.
that'd be wonderful. Thank you
Just
so
pop and
much.
see.
Thank you.
Thank you, Such. Thank you, Vanya, for all the work that you do for our people.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Next funding applicant speaker, we have our very charming young man down there, Komene Marino, all the mahi he does. Kia ora, Komene. Komene's here to speak about his Mahi Pai Ora and Wellbeing Day. Kia ora, Komene.
Tēnā tātou tahi ki taki mai no te arawi, ki urea ki te roto o māperi, ku tātou ki te wahatu o Hokianga anu hoki ki Waitani, e waiwai ke ati kamotangi nia te rā ki urupa, piripo taha kēnei ki taki marae o hara whenua, e haumaru tia nei e taku hatu o ngāti ireira tiri tani pā. E hoi are te waka o ngāti ki ngā taparo katau nei i waiwai mea tātou norera, tēnei ka kata ngā whiriri o taia mai e mihi atu nei kia tātou katoa. Well, I'm pretty new to the space. Obviously, you could probably tell by my application, but I thought I'd give it a go like that. Whakataiki stage 250 at te hopo, mai rangati a te angi too. Stick out there even though you feel a bit anxious or whatever. So I'm speaking on the Mahi Pai application that I applied for. And I want to take you on a journey. My run at 5:30 a.m. this morning. And hopefully this will tell you why. So got up this morning, went to the toilet, dropped off the kids to the pools, and then I walked out the door. I got to about Wihongi Street and I asked the Lord. So I got up, prayed, praise and worship, and asked the Lord why on Wihongi Street, why I want this application to succeed. And I look back at all the tragedy that has happened within Kaikohe, the movement, the crashes, the amount of times that we've had, I remember 3 times within 1 week, just on Manakahia Road. All those tragedies that we've had. And then I think about Father's Day that's coming up on Sunday. Now my dad's been gone 15 years this year. He died here in Kaikohe on the Touchview. And I look at this application and I think to myself, maybe if just we had that positive messaging behind what Mahi Pai is all about, then maybe he might still be here. Just maybe. Or I look at a lot of our whānau within my community, my whānau, and they don't know where to find help. They don't know where to go to, which health sector that can best provide for them. And that's what this day is hopefully going to bring. For all our health sectors to come on board, to be present, and to hopefully get what to become sustainable with a partner between myself, Mahi Pai, and hopefully the Farmers District Council. And we know that in order for things to be good, it takes years. In order for positive messaging to get through to our people, it's not just a one-hit show, but hopefully with the partnership, we can maintain that and get that positive messaging through to our whānau, especially our young ones. So that's my granddad over there. Okay, not my real granddad. So after my dad had passed away, his daughter picked me up. So that's my granddad. Okay. And he talked about the prison. So hopefully this can be a mechanism to minimize that as a piece of the puzzle to stop our men and our young children from going to prison. I work a lot in the schools, I work in Port Northland, I work at the Christian school, and I do what we call criminal art in the community. So I'm preparing that information on what our community like, or what our parents like. It's not because they don't know actually, but hopefully that through this, not just this is just a piece of the puzzle, and hopefully with my mahi within the communities, we can get that positive messaging through. And we know, like, if you look at the application or I see through the event, and it talks about the riri, it talks about the moa, which is very prominent to our people. Those are ways that we can connect and hopefully get that messaging through to our people. I just want to go back to my note just to make sure that I haven't missed out anything. But yeah, the Mahi Pai show involves English and Māori through theatre, and we know that our community loves that type of stuff. So that's the reason why I like, at first I was like, okay, what is this all about? And then I had to talk to the fellow who's actually from Moerewa, DJ Abihana, who is the coordinator for Mahi Pai. And I said, okay, I'm fully on this scope because this is what our people need. When you look at statistics, the majority of my people, majority of our people that are going through the systems, maybe because they don't have the education that exists, maybe we should bring it up.
Kia ora komene, he mahi pai kia koe. Any questions for komene?
Tēnā koe, beautiful presentation and great kaupapa. And I'm just wondering if you weren't able to get all of the putia that you've applied in this one, what would be your next step? Will you keep going? Will you look for other putia, or you just be like, can't afford it?
No, I will keep going. So it's supposed to be on the 11th of October, but if I can't get the full funding, I'm a person that will keep going until we get it right.
Okay, no further questions? All right, thank you, Komene. Thank you for the work that you do in our community, the work you do not just at the Christian school. Your presence is felt in our community and is really, really appreciated. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next up we have, who do we have? Do we have someone from Rawene Primary School here? We do. We have two lovely ladies, and they're not part of Robinson. You might just have to introduce yourselves, please, ladies. Thank you. So we're looking at Rawene Primary School Christmas in the Park application. Kia ora kōrua.
I'm Hayley.
I'm Louise.
We're part of the Rawene School Board. Rawene School Board has put on Christmas in the Park before, or after the Rawene Christmas break finished, and we would just like to get that started again. So that's why I'm here to for this opportunity. Our United School Board is putting it on. The school operation will cost the school. That's why we're asking this opportunity to put it on all of Hokianga, not just Rawene. And they don't have any Christmas events in Hokianga, so we're hoping to make a fun day for the kids. Yeah, so the main covers, yeah, so we wanted to put it on, but the school money is for the schools. And
So we invite locals to have their own stalls so that they can make money for their own community, Indian families. We have the fire truck that usually comes up and gives kids rides. We have St. John's that comes for not only the first aid courses, but also if we to have a look through the ambulance and do CPR training. We have asked the community, local businesses, if they've got any support for us, vouchers for prizes such as, I'm not going to name for it, but kids dress their bikes and scooters up when Christmas Eve things, and it's pretty much, Christmas isn't always a happy time for people, and there's always a financial strain on family, so we just want to put something on that supports our community, gets everybody together, and everyone can kind of just get to know each other and have a good day. The hospital comes and they bring the promotional stuff so that helps people to learn about how to be healthy. So we've got promotion on health and well-being.
and what we've asked for is the money for the cover the rides, and so people might be able to get out to an event, but because going all those rides might be a bit of a cost for the economy. So, yes.
That's all right. Yeah, it's not a great place to stand there in front of us all and sitting around you. That's okay. We might have some questions for you, ladies. Any questions? I've got one. Sorry, can you just clarify for me a couple of things? Is it the first time Rawane School has run this event?
No.
No.
First time, but it's a good have get like we had.
Oh, yes. So how did you manage the last event? How did you fund the last event?
I can't compare that then.
Okay.
So we were like, yeah,
So are the rides free for the children?
that's what we're like.
Okay. If you get the funding.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the amount that you've applied for will get you everything you want.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Any further questions? Member McVeigh.
Yeah, very fond memories of the Rawene Christmas Parade. It's sadly missed. It is the only event for whānau, really. And so, and although it's on school grounds and it's done by the school board, I believe it's not just about the school, it's really about the whole Hokianga and whānau. So again, if you weren't able to get all of the pūtea that you've applied for, do you have other options, or would you still continue, or what would that look like?
We will still continue, but it wouldn't be as bigger and probably what people know it to be. Like, it used to be at night time and there used to be a big fireworks display, but due to money and costing, we've decided to have it as a day thing now. So that so they've cut down the costs. Yeah. We've got the Lions have offered to do the parking for us, and they're going to do stores also.
Great. Councillor Pearson.
Just clarity, so you're going to have it on school ground, which is great, so you're not going to have any traffic issues, presumably, all that time.
There's parking on the kids' school.
Yeah, I know that place quite well. School is that problem. Just on some of that though, how many are you expecting to come? Maybe last time I remember.
It was kind of, I remember the last one was quite big, I'd say 1,000.
Yeah.
So it's all Hokianga, North Hokianga.
Yeah, so big numbers.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you for your presentation today and the work you're doing out in the Hokianga. Okay, our final funding applicant is online with us today from Te Paiaka Marae. We have Petania, sorry.
Morena tātou, ngā mihi nui kia koutou, ngā rangatira o tātou hapori. Morena. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes.
Yes, play. I'm just assuming you guys have read our application and most of you would be familiar with Te Paiaka Marae Touch. Just in summary, it's a marae touch competition between 8 marae from Waimamaku to Omanaya. In fact, you've got a couple of players in the room and whānau participants. This year, we've Omanaya are hosting, and it would be easy for us to organise it our way and take it to fields that work for us, but we believe that it's about giving our host the mana to lead, and Omanaya Marae have requested that they that they host it at our Rawene fields, so hence our application. I also want to note that Rob Pink leases the field at the moment, and he's got cattle and stuff on there, but he has given us written approval to use the space, and his contract or his lease finishes at the end of the year.
Okay, thank you. Petania, any questions, Petania?
I have one comment, just to put it out in the room. Omanaya have the 3-peat championship. Just phrasing that.
I'm from the
Hopefully all their lead players will be organising and not playing on the field.
Just checking, kia ora Petania, just checking that I'm imagining that, is this going to be just the fix-up is for a one-time thing, or is this a long and ongoing part of a plan to bring sports back to Rawene and Hokianga?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I see women's rugby going across to Kohu, the Christmas in the park, that was spoken before us, could utilise the space. Soccer, there's lots of events and lots of sports that want to use the space, but because it's muddy and it's got lots of potholes, etc., it's not viable, but I believe it will be, yes.
Yes, I remember the good old days. That was the rugby field grounds, and there were shows and radios, and it was really well used, and we had a lot of sports. So thank you for being part of bringing that back to our area. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
No further questions. Thank you, Petania.
Not of you, Tanya. Melissa, in between now and when we consider this funding application, is it possible to find out how much Rob pays for that lease?
I can try.
Cool, thank you. And how long has he had it?
Okay, thank you, Petania.
Ngā mihi koutou.
Okay, that ends our... Yes, our final applicant for today, funding applicant, is from Kaikohe Business Association, Kaikohe Linda, the Kaikohe Christmas Festival.
Festival event, Christmas.
Festival event, Christmas.
Yeah, thank you, Colin. Mike, we talked to us as a committee and said we wanted to have the Christmas parade in our 21st Saturdays. Because of the amount of work involved and the smaller team, I wasn't exactly in favour, so I'll be up and honest there, but if I'm re-elected, come our meet candidates night, I'll be fully behind it. I think we need it. So the plan is, we're not too sure on the head. We are not acknowledging we are a small team, so collaboration is important. Just letting you know that we were very successful in getting community to buy into getting flags for last Christmas. So those are all ready to go back up again. Hokianga is needed for road closures and traffic control, but we're working within the community as well to try and reduce those costs so that we can engage more with the people who need to be enjoying the city. If we go as whānau, it's family, it's also business. The original proposal was to have it on a Saturday and the last Saturday of November, but I'd like your we would like your input back into that. We're trying to get it before the schools close so that we are providing an opportunity for participation from schools and sports teams as well as community groups and businesses. The actual final details aren't sorted out yet. We tend to block at a time of our different events, but they're obviously on the agenda looking forward to that. Signage for it. One thing I didn't mention in my other brief is we've got the anti-graffiti truck has now been handed over, so I'm not going to be out there as much painting out graffiti, but looking at reducing that as well and getting some good signage. I'd encourage the other areas as well, depending on the timing of your Christmas events, to even look at coming along and having even a vehicle that advertises your event as part of our Christmas play. And just thinking outside the box to make it the best opportunity for the community to be involved, for their businesses, to prosper from it, whether it be markets in different areas, businesses in Longford. Looking forward to the build-up for that and working with the police. We're collaborating with the police. We've welcomed the last 2 recruits into our system, so just working more with the different people around town, and I think collaboration is our way ahead. So thank you again, and yet we're looking forward to a good Christmas parade this year. Again. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Oh, sorry, no questions.
Any questions for Linda? No? Okay. Thank you, everybody, for your time today and the opportunity for us to hear from you in regard to your funding applications. We'll make some decisions about those later on in our meeting today. Moving through our minutes, I've just broken my book, so bear with me. We're up to item 6.1 on page 8, which is a notice of
the one that's flashing red. Not that one, the next one.
Notice of, thank you, everybody. 6.1, notice of motion, this establishment of taxi stands in Kaikohe and relocation of Clifford Street loading zone. The motion is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board recommends to Council that the taxi stands in Kaikohe, Clifford Street and Memorial Ave, as noted in Schedule 2 of the Far North District Council Parking Bylaw 2022, be disestablished, and that the Clifford Street loading zone, also Schedule 2, be moved to the location of the disestablished taxi stand with the following comments. A, this recommendation is made without the benefit of council staff advice. B, however, given there haven't been any taxis in Kaikohe for almost 20 years, and there is only one other taxi stand in all of the Far North, this shouldn't be an issue. C, the loading zone is mostly occupied by resident car parking and is on the wrong side of the street for pallet deliveries for the bank bar. The taxi stand is often occupied by cars, making it unsuitable for loading. D, unless the staff advice would counter to this recommendation or there is information that necessarily should be considered by the board, no further presentation to the board is necessary before a paper supporting this is presented to council. E, the purpose of this action is to reduce council spending on taxi stand upkeep, signs and road marking for no reason, to free up parking for residents of Clifford Street and to move the loading zone to a more sensible location. Do I have a mover?
It's already been moved.
It's moved and seconded. That's all you said. Seconded. That all happened while I was talking.
No. It's
there. Right. Any discussion?
Since it's my motion, I'll discuss. I put everything in the motion. Sorry about it being so lengthy. You have to do all the talking there.
Do we just need to move that?
Just vote on it, really. It's no more.
Unless you want to discuss.
No, I don't have a discussion. I don't think it's very clear. I think it's very sensible. Okay, I'll move that. All those in favour? Aye. Any against? No abstentions. Thank you. Thank you, Member Edmonds. Okay, moving on to 7.1, confirmation of previous minutes. The recommendation is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board confirm the minutes of the meeting held 8th of August 2025 to be a true and correct record. I'll move that. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Member McVeigh. Any discussion around those minutes? Okay, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Any against? No abstentions. Thank you. Moving on to page 19, our reports. 8.1, new ground lease to Kaikohe Bowling Club. Page of that, page 19. Did you share the report writers online? And we have the report writer. Is that Brooke? Brooke Taylor, we have the report writer online. Okay, the recommendation is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board recommend to Council A, grant a new ground lease to Kaikohe Bowling Club incorporated over part of the Recreation Reserve, being part lot 2 DP 23934 and part set 81 block X Mangamuka SD, approximately 2,555.4 square metres, vested in FNDC as Recreation Reserve located at 22 Beach Road, Kohu. The terms of the proposed lease shall be term 30 years, 10 plus 10 plus 10, allowed for under the Reserves Act 1977, annual rental $124 plus GIS for 2024-25, and reviewed annually in conjunction with the FNDC fees and charges schedule. B, authorises the group manager delivery and operations to negotiate the final terms and conditions of the lease and execute the lease on behalf. Thank you. Member McVeigh has moved that and Councillor Fusich has seconded that. Do we have any discussion around that recommendation?
I'd just like to say that I thought that the community consultation and feedback was really thorough, and they had talked with Hapu and so on. So well done.
Thank you. Yeah, 81 submissions received. That was very good. Okay, I'll put that to the floor. All those in favour? Aye. Any against? No abstentions. Thank you. Well done. Okay, moving on to page 32, 8.2, review of alcohol control areas in the board. And we have our report writer, Donald, here with us. Page 32. So the recommendation is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board under section 147B of the Local Government Act 2022 recommends that the council by resolution amends the current permanent alcohol control area in Kaikohe that will continue to apply 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all year round. I will move that recommendation and Member McVeigh has seconded that. Do we have any discussion or questions from Don?
Do you want to comment, Don, on some key points?
Yeah, very quickly. Firstly, apologies for the great, big, huge report. It boils down to something quite simple. These areas, the alcohol control areas, are authorised by the bylaw and they are declared by resolution of council. And across the ward, it appears that, and the criteria in the legislation have to have a high level of alcohol-related crime and disorder for these areas to be declared. We put in place a decision-making criteria, and really it's Kaikohe that is the hub of, as the police call it, mayhem. And then when we look at the areas, the physical areas covered in the current map, Kaikohe is actually really well covered, but ironically, the one area where the most issues are going down, and I remember Councillor Vucic mentioned this in a council meeting, is the Library Square. So there's that, there's I think it's the Liquorland car park, the Honeycookie Reserve, and the warehouse, McDonald's, Woolworths car park. Just those 4 areas were missed out. And so really it all boils down to obtaining the community board's approval for those areas. And also there's a little corollary to that, because you have your finger on the pulse. If there are other little localities within Kaikohe that you want added to that list, we're all ears. That doesn't affect the big resolution to make those changes, but I've got a very tight deadline, but by Monday, if you said, look, there's this little lane where we know stuff's going down, and you get that information back to me, I'll add it to the list that will go up to council. So that's it from me, and I'm really happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Donald. I just have a question about on page 33, about a third of the way down, if there's a bold heading that says the police enforce the bylaw, then under the last bullet point, that little statement there that says police have discretion under the bylaw, they are not required to act unless they observe actual or potential alcohol-related crime or disorder.
Yeah.
Typically, they will ignore someone having a quiet drink in an alcohol ban area.
Yeah. It's strange, isn't it? But
that to me kind of defeats the whole purpose of such a report. If we say we're going to have an alcohol ban, but typically I'll just ignore.
Yeah, you're right. Picture Donald, I'm sitting quietly in the park and there's a little picnic with the family and I do the wrong thing and I have a beer. The police are so busy with other stuff that they're unlikely to come along and go, oi, you're breaking the law, pour it out, etc., etc. However, if I'm setting an example and there's a whole lot of other people hanging around and it's getting out of hand, they can act. They can say, hey, Donald, you're setting a really bad precedent for the community. Please stop or please move on. This is not on. So there is a discretionary element to it. And from the public survey we did, 60% of, well, I think it was 65% of people had seen people drinking in public but not causing any harm. But 60% had seen people drinking in public and getting disorderly and drunk and abusive. So it's a kind of a double-edged.
So there's nothing that we can do to change that.
No, that's in the legislation.
To be fair, I don't know that you'd want to really do this. Our purpose, or sorry, I think the purpose here is to stop antisocial behaviour, right?
Yeah.
And if the cops have one more tool, they can go to somebody who's, you know, if they get reported antisocial behaviour, we'll see antisocial behaviour, but it's just causing, I guess, the moral upset. Somebody just doesn't like it. And they can't change, or they're doing something that can't really be pinned on any other law. The fact that there's alcohol is therefore an aggravating factor, and now they've got something to clamp down on, and that's all we want. We want a nice, more orderly Kaikohe. We don't want Oakwood. You know, that nice more. I mean, the reason we want it is for a more orderly Kaikohe. It's not that we don't want people to enjoy alcohol. This is just a tool for.
But yeah, the words total ban is total ban, and that contradicts that.
It does a little bit.
And I know that it's legislation, but it could come from the perspective even the at discretion of racial in the way somebody looks that's drinking compared to somebody else, depending on the way they look. So that's, and I know it's legislation and we can't do anything about that. I absolutely totally and the report that you prepared was extremely interesting and is evidence-based, and I really like that. So yeah, absolutely support.
Okay, we have a mover and a seconder for that.
Madam Chair, can I just add to the conversation? Look, I would be concerned that there is a dual interpretation of that, because it's either a ban completely, regardless of the circumstances, or there's no ban. But I'm concerned that individuals will be making the call based on what they see. And I'm sorry, but I can't go with that, because the interpretation can be left for the individual. If it says no, there is a alcohol ban, it's not saying, oh, but look, good behavior is good behavior. Now, then again, we go down the avenue of defining what good behavior is. And that leaves it just too open and critical for our communities. And so I would really like to support an area where a ban is a ban, and that's what we're put there for. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I mean, there's been two concerns here that it's open to interpretation and can be improperly administered. This law has been in place since 2012, and I'd like to know: does anybody in this room, or Donald, are you aware of anybody or any instance at all in the far north where somebody has said, "I've been unfairly targeted because of the cops don't like me, the cops don't like where I've come from, my parents came from, or my grandparents came from, or the church that I go to, or any other reason other than antisocial behaviour that everybody would agree is antisocial?"
Very good question. I can only give one little anecdotal report, and it's outside our area. It was in Whangarei. One of the policy advisors in Whangarei District Council was quite young at the time, a student, and was picking up alcohol from a bottle store and driving through an alcohol control area. And it looked as though he was being picked on by the police. And he made a complaint, and it was upheld that he wouldn't be, that the police had done wrong. So you know, sometimes.
So going back to my question, I says in the far north. I'm saying there's absolutely nothing in the far north in the last 13 years.
I haven't heard of anything, but the police and, you know, police complaints authority, there might have been cases, but I doubt if it's a big thing.
Can I just clarify, is there a difference, or what is the difference between a total ban and a control area? Because it sounds like that's what we're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah. An alcohol control area is defined in the legislation as essentially as an area where high levels of alcohol-related crime and disorder have occurred, and at council discretion have been declared one of these control areas. And so in that case, it gives the police tools to act without having to go to the Summary Offences Act, which would be, hey, we're going to have to charge you, bring you down to the, you know, you have to go through the court system. This is a much more flexible tool for the police.
As a ban, they would be required to go through that process. Is that what you think?
It's a colloquial one.
Right.
People call it a ban. If you see on the rubbish bins around the place, the council actually calls it an alcohol-free area, not a ban. But the alcohol control area is the correct.
So this is the tool that we have.
This is
the tool that we have. We're not arguing which type of alcohol limitation. We're just saying we have alcohol control or we don't extend it in these places.
Yes, we've got it across most of Kaikohe, but there are these pockets where, for whatever reason, they were left out, and we're just asking to fill in those gaps.
I think, Madam Chair, my biggest concern is the discussion started with targeting Kaikohe. And I mean, that's, I think, Madam Chair, my biggest concern is the discussion started with targeting Kaikohe. And I mean, that's, I think, Madam Chair, my biggest concern is the discussion started with targeting Kaikohe. And I mean, that's, I think, Madam Chair, my biggest concern is the discussion started with targeting Kaikohe. And if it was open, that it's covering the whole of Kaikohe, then I'm happy with that. But as soon as you start saying Kaikohe has been identified, then I'd like to get more clarity on that, because there will be some concern in community. Thank you.
Councillor.
The report is quite clear. Kaikohe has some holes, and the Kaikohe is just in the middle of the list. I mean, it's not as though Kaikohe is worse. It's just that in Kaikohe we've got some obvious holes that need to be filled. I mean, all the other places in the district are complete. So I mean, it's not targeting Kaikohe at all.
I think hit the nail on the head is to give the police tools without having to go through a long written process. And those areas such as the library that there was problems, this allows the police to
This support. Okay, I'll put that recommendation to the floor. All those in favour? Aye. Any against? Any abstentions? No, thank you.
Can I just ask a very quick question? What's the resolution number for that?
Resolution 2025/82.
82. Thank you.
Thank you, Donald. Moving on to item reports 8.3 on page 115. We have thank you, Councillor Usich, and seconded by Member McVeigh. The recommendation is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board note the reports from Chair Tricky Rudkin. All those in favour? Aye. Okay, moving on to our project funding reports on page 120. Recommendation is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board note the project's reports received from A, Kaikohe-Hokianga, B, Hokianga Historical Society, C, Hokianga Pūrere, D, Okaiho Whānau House, E, Riva Mendes. I'll move that recommendation. Do I have a second? Thank you, Member Introductory. Any questions or discussion around the reports? I'll put that to the floor. All those in favour? Just say aye. Any against? Any abstentions? No. Moving on to funding applications on page 134. We'll go through each application individually. The first one, the recommendation is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve the sum of $5,000 plus GIST if applicable, be paid from the board's community grant fund account to the Kaikohe Business Association towards the costs of Kaikohe Christmas 2025. Yep. Thank you. Member Ophelia has moved that. I will second that. Do we have any discussion around that? Back to the floor. All those in favour? Aye. Aye. Any against? Any abstentions? No. Second recommendation, B, that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve the sum of $2,500 plus GIST applicable, be paid from the board's community grant fund account to Man vs Wild towards the costs of Man vs Wild 2026. Do I have a mover for that recommendation?
I'll move that.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Thank you, Councillor Visich. Do we have any discussion around that?
Yeah, I think a bit of quick around it. I hear what Wally and the team were doing there. I think it's quite good given the numbers they actually have quite high. I do wonder though about funding. I know I wrote for additional funding that's associated with the prison dimension. You heard that was mentioned. I'd really be keen to see the government definitely assist with families, as was mentioned by that families there need the support, and it's not something that we should be doing. I do wonder whether we can go a little bit step further, but I'm not suggesting the last meeting, Madam Chair, and a step further is advocating on behalf of some of the issues that we see in our community. And the government saying you need that's some services that we needed. That's a pretty comment, but I support this. I prefer to see government put significant money into groups like that.
Yes.
And yeah, I'd like to total, well, look, it's a worthy thing. They've been doing it for a while. I'm sure that it's helpful to the men and the whānau involved. I would encourage them to perhaps, did they come and talk with you, Catherine, about looking, you can advise to seek funding elsewhere, and work around that?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's up to them to actually
yeah,
do it. And then the comment that Wally's going overseas and he's the one that actually tends to do the applications. So yeah.
so there's a corridor for some of our groups around, there's, you know, mechanism to support these really worthy causes to be able to access funds outside of our depleting pool.
I'll put that recommendation to the floor. All those in favour, I'll say aye. Any against? Any abstentions? No. Thank you. That's carried. Recommendation C, that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve the sum of $2,468 plus GIST if applicable, be paid from the Board's Community Grant Fund account to the Manaaki Tinana Trust towards costs of repairing the community gym roof. Moved by Member McBain. I'll second that. Do you have any discussion around that recommendation?
Just they have a really large membership, it's very well used, and yeah, they're a really functioning trust that does a lot of, you know, they're doing what they say they're going to do, so I support it.
Put that to the floor. All those in favour, say aye. Any against? Any abstentions? No, that's carried. Item D, recommendation is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve the sum of $2,500 plus GIST if applicable be paid from the Board's Community Grant Fund account to the Hospice Mid-North towards the costs of replacing mattresses. Do I have a mover for that? Thank you, Member Gundry. I will second that. You have any discussion?
Yes. I agree with that. And it sort of tugs at your heartstrings when you see, you know, they're doing great work there. But they also mention the funding being cut. And again, maybe there's funding available, but again, I think given the need there, in some ways that we can help. It could be a letter for in the future about this whole Mid-North really, but covering more than that. You know, just know how about we look at external funding from other sources again, and other groups that can actually assist, because where does it stop? You know, I'm supporting this one, but where does it stop? Are we going to get into the whole medical side of it, and then who are we cutting out? Who are we supporting? We don't have that sort of level of funding.
Thank you, Councillor Besich. I'll put that motion to the floor. All those in favour? Aye. Any against? No abstentions. Thank you. That's carried. Item E, that the recommendation is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve the sum of $2,145 plus GIST if applicable be paid from the Board's Community Grant Fund account to the Momentum Charitable Trust towards cost of life and financial skills courses at Kaikohe Probation Centre.
I actually do move that.
Member McVeigh is moving that, and I will second that.
Sorry, can I talk?
Do I get to speak first? Thank you, Mr. Member Edmonds. I support that because what we've just said is that the Man versus Wild, which is great, I'm sure, is around supporting, you know, often supporting men who've come out of prison and their whānau. And this is essentially a different way of doing the same thing. And if I recall that they do focus on, you know, a number of men here coming out into our community. So that's why I support it. I recognise once again that it's a group that keeps coming back and that it probably should be funded through government and other things as well. But in this case, in the meantime, that's why I support it.
Thank you, Member McVeigh. Member Edmonds?
Well, I just would, I mean, they're coming back and they're being denied. So that's what I'm trying to say. We've denied them twice since they were here the first time. And I just wonder, and quite frequently as well. I mean, the last time was Christmas, the next time was April, I think. And here they are back again. And I mean, all you've got to do is present an idea that the community board doesn't like or thinks a bad idea, and then keep coming back for the same idea until either we get sick of them coming back and we just say, oh, for goodness sake, take it, or we forget the reasons why we told them no in the first place. Then that opens the whole thing up for a whole world of abuse.
Commenting on what I said before, like, as member raised, I do think there's probably not going to be the next community board, but I do think we need to look at the strategy and how we do all this in terms of the community plans and how we actually do the funding to achieve the maximum result. And we have the powers to actually assist here again, but I think that's more when through Bushland Council to advocate, us advocating and others advocating. I think we can actually bring that connection and pull the communities together to make a difference. That's a slightly different strategy, and that will, I think, help groups like this who are looking for funding where they get from. And they're certainly trying to, and they do good work. So again, I support this, but I really would love to see the next triennium significant work done at getting the strategies. What we do. Cases like this.
I have the right to reply. Thank you. I take your point, Member Edmonds. However, that you don't have to grant every single application, but I'm happy for this amount for at this time of year. I'm happy to put it through. Doesn't mean that I'll grant every single one. It's I'm looking at the merits of it, and that's why I support it.
Thank you. I'll put that recommendation to the floor. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? And any abstentions? No. Thank you. That has been carried. Moving on to recommendation F. That the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve the sum of $1,772 plus just if applicable be paid from the Board's Community Grant Fund account to the Northland Edible Garden Trail towards the costs of Te Aramarai Kai o Tai Tokero. I'm going to have a mover. Member McVeigh has moved that. Do I have a seconder? Member Gundry, thank you. Would you like to speak to that?
Oh, look, I know that they have lots of people going around. It's a huge amount of work. This is quite a small amount of money for the benefit, not just to the people who are visiting and the people who are showcasing their gardens, but it's around uplifting actual sustainable growing, and they bring in workshops to support whānau to grow their own. So that's something I really think they do a great job of.
Any further comment or question? No. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour, please say aye. Any against? And any abstentions? That is carried. Item G, the recommendation is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve the sum of $1,590 plus just, if applicable, be paid from the Board's Community Grant Fund account to Ohawai Taimai Residents Association towards the costs of 2025 Ohawai Christmas Picnic. Do I have a mover for that? Thank you, Councillor Vucic. I will second that. Do you have any commentary?
Well, I think it's a special occasion this year for them as well, so that just helps us overall. And it seems a magical, and they do a lot of community work there.
Thank you, Councillor Vucic. I'll put that recommendation to the vote. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Any abstentions? No, that is carried. Recommendation H, that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve the sum of $2,000 plus just if applicable be paid from the Board's Community Grant Fund account to the Rawene Primary School towards the costs of 2025 Community Christmas event. Do I have a mover for that?
Can I move with an amendment? What is the process?
And move with an amendment. You can suggest that amendment.
Yes, I'd like to move that, but I would like to put that at $5,000, which is equal to the amount that the Kaikohe Christmas Parade has received.
Yeah, can I, before you do that, can I just So you heard Linda mention the 5,000 and there's traffic management control.
Are we discussing, or can I see if there's somebody going to back?
All right, carry on.
That's my movement, is to put it at $5,000. And I can talk to why.
Do I have a second to that amendment? Yeah. Thank you, Member McVeigh.
Yes, I recognise that there are costs to the Kaikohe Christmas parade that wouldn't be applicable to the Rawene Christmas event, like traffic control, and also with the recognition that the Kaikohe Christmas event has had regular investment over the time, which is great and I support, and including that we've invested a lot of money in this community for the great events, which I support, but there has not been a lot for events, and to reinstate the Rawene Christmas event, it's the one real thing that whānau can come to and can afford to bring their kids to make it special. I think $2,000 in this day and age is, you do not get a lot. I think we have given significant other amounts of money for much smaller and much shorter events. So I think this is a good amount of money for the kind of thing that I know it is, and I know the group who will be running it, very organised. They're under the school, but actually they're doing it for everybody on their own behalf. And the other thing is, I know that sometimes people will say, well, you can come to Kaikohe and enjoy the event here, it's a bigger space. However, in this day and age when we are very strapped for money, not a lot of people have an extra money to come in and be involved here. So I would like to support Hokianga community to have a Christmas event for our whānau. And I think this is a reasonable amount for that.
Thank you.
Member Belia. Yeah, just to add to all that Jessie said, our whānau locally in Rawene, giving them access from all Māpiri Openoni and across the water via ferry. They are a hard-working group of people, and it will be great to have the Christmas parade back in Rawene. And we've got a passionate group of people who can do that. And it'll be just an awesome day for our community, North and South Hokianga.
My commitment to you were really about the amount of money that we've actually got. And the reason I'm saying that is, look, I support it all. I didn't hear any comments when they said 2,000 that they couldn't do it for 2,000, and having and not having traffic management was a significant reduction in cost. And we add another 3,000 to that, which is fine. No, I might even vote for that, but just to bear in mind that in 3 months you spend most of the budget allocated for the year. It's leaving, I think, about 3,000 or just over 3,000 for the incoming council for the rest of the year. So there'll be a lot of good people trying to do very nice things, and we'll have no money really to share around for very lean. I do wonder, that's why I stressed before about having an overall strategy and how you use this money, because it is costing ratepayers, and how you actually can use that most effectively to achieve a result.
Thank you. Member Evans.
I'm unlikely to be able to bring any arguments to sway, I think, this group to bring it back to $2,000. However, for 5,000 is more than 50%. So, I mean, at least can we stay within the policy and go 50%, 4,000?
I could go $4,500.
So do we amend the amendment amount?
It's a pretty straightforward thing. As chair, you just maintain order however you want to maintain it.
500. Okay. We don't need to reread that, do we? Okay, we'll put that motion to the floor. All those in favour, please say aye. Any against? No, and no abstentions. Thank you. That is carried. Moving on to recommendation I, that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve the sum of $2,000 plus just, if applicable, be paid from the Board's Community Grant Fund account to Te Oho Wairua Journeys Charitable Trust towards Hene Te Aparangi Waka Safety Workshop. do I have a mover for that?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Councillor Member Edmonds, thank you, and I will second that. Do you have any commentary?
Chair, I know that there is a table document in front of you all on this phone.
Okay, was that the one? Okay, thank you.
And through the chair, they went to both of the other community boards for this as well, for doing the same workshop but in their wards. Te Hiku declined to fund them. They felt that it was better funded from other sources, and Bay of Islands Whangaroa gave them $5,000.
Sorry, I haven't had a chance to have a look at this additional, but
Got some discussion when the appropriate moment comes.
I mean, Dolly's just stepped out for a moment, so we'll just take a couple of minutes to have a read through.
I didn't put being my kind self on the side of the room.
Okay, do we have any audio around the additional information or the application?
Oh, yeah, I just think water safety is a no-brainer, especially at this price. I mean, it's. We don't really have a large pool. We don't have a water program in Kaikohe. This might be up in Te Hiku, they've got $9.4 million worth. That there's an opportunity to do water safety up there. It's a tiny amount for what could save a life or doesn't at some stage.
No kōrero to that, as somebody who has been had been a competitive waka-ama person for many years and involved with the club in Hokianga and paddling around the north, and am also qualified in water safety, life-saving. That's the idea is absolutely great. Saving lives, water safety is hugely important. My issue with this is that I'm not sure how much waka-ama is done out of Kaikohe, and for the people who do waka-ama who are in our ward, probably the majority of the clubs are actually in Hokianga who do their own water safety and regularly and take tamariki out and do those things. Whether the people who are paddling and doing waka-ama will bring their tamariki into Kaikohe to the library to learn that is my issue. Not that there's a problem with the program. I'm sure that's wonderful. Cultural narrative, super important. But really, if it was coming from the club to be done over and where people do waka-ama, I would have been more supportive.
No, we don't have to read this without the supporting material. I had a similar thought. But with the supporting material, it seems to me that waka-ama is merely a group associated with it rather than limiting the participation for those that participate in waka-ama. You know, am I wrong? But this almost looks like it's a general water safety thing for everybody who goes into water, not only those who participate in waka-ama.
Yes, I would have to. I got that from the application to Member Edmonds, and we've had a similar group in our school. They do land-based stuff, so it's not limited to just waka-ama participants, in my opinion.
I shouldn't have limited to that waka-ama. I should say water safety and life jackets and boats.
Right. We'll put that recommendation to the floor. All those in favour? Aye. Any against? Any abstentions?
I'll just abstain.
Abstain. Thank you, Member McVeigh. Moving on.
Yeah, Member McVeigh, would you like that recorded?
Oh, look, I'm not, I don't feel strongly about it. I just think it should be done on the water.
Thank you. Hey, recommendation J, recommendation is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve the sum of $2,000 plus just if applicable, be paid from the board's community grant fund account to the Komene Marino towards Mahi Pai Hauora and Wellbeing Day. I will move that recommendation. Do I have a seconder? Thank you. Celia. I don't have a lot to say other than I think the presentation was done extremely well. I think it came from a very personal space, and knowing the work that Komene does in our community is very appreciated, and he's a valuable member to our Kaikohe-Hokianga community.
Awesome role model.
Okay. I'll put that to the floor then. All those in favour? Aye. Any against? No abstentions. Thank you. The last recommendation on the table is the recommendation K that Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve the sum of $2,000 plus just if applicable be paid from the board's community grant fund account to Te Pai Aka Marae Touch towards Rawene Domain sports field rehabilitation. That has been moved by Council Member Gundry, and I will second that recommendation. Do I have any? Melissa.
Through the chair, thank you, Mike. I do have some response to your questions. However, it is not public information, so if you want to discuss amounts, etc., we will probably need to go into.
Can I move that we go into public exclusion for the purposes of discussing the financial information or confidential information between?
Through the chair, is that to discuss in free and frank?
It's commercially sensitive, right?
Commercially sensitive.
Commercially sensitive.
Thank you, Councillor Visich. Can we have the live stream stop, please? Will.
Sorry. So have we, through the chair, have we otherwise Pai Aka Marae
live meeting, and we have a recommendation on the table at the moment.
Can I
Te Paeaka Marae Touch.
Can I move an amendment to that?
Yes.
I'd like to move an amendment of the amount to the full amount of $4,000 for exactly the reason that that I asked when the whānau were online, is that this is a long and ongoing, that's intended to be resurrecting sports ground that had been a sports ground for decades and decades. So this isn't a one-off event. And I'm just wondering, Catherine, can it be a placemaking application, because this is remaking our sports grounds?
So the short answer is,
Sorry, we have a recommendation on the table. We need a seconder for that recommendation, please. For 4,000, yes. I remember Ophelia has seconded that.
so there's two things that I'd have in that. One is technically it can't be placemaking because it's remediation and repairs of something that's already existing. It's not creating something new. But I'm already working behind the scenes to see if I can get some extra money, which is why I recommended the two to start with, because we may be able to get money, but I'm not sure yet. So possibly you could put a codicil to the recommendation that it's subject to confirmation by staff that additional funding is not
Yes, okay.
able to be located. Richard, who made the original application, FNDC staff, so I can have a lot of those conversations with them. So if you make the 4,000, just make it subject to, if that's okay.
You happy with that?
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Okay, so the recommendation reads, where are we? That the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve the sum of $4,000 plus just be paid from the Board's Community Grant Fund account to Te Paeaka Marae Touch towards Rawani Domain Sports Field rehabilitation, subject to confirmation from staff that additional funding is not achieved elsewhere.
I think we need to add an amendment to that as well, and that is that the touch field be fenced off, because otherwise it'll be damaged again and be taken again.
That's part of their plan.
So are we adding that to the amendment?
Yeah, that it fenced off.
And that the touch field be fenced off?
Or that stock is excluded, because I think there's fencing just as an agreement not to put cows back in there.
Stock is excluded.
And that stock is just excluded.
Yeah.
So we have moved that. And do we have a seconder? Member Gundry has seconded that amendment.
That's still, so all of that through the chair forms the motion, which will be all in one.
Kapai, that's 4,000 unless there's other funding found, and with the proviso that stock is excluded.
Edmonds?
Yeah, this belongs in the long-term plan. This doesn't belong on our community board. So yes, I know they want it now, but this is council reserves, and if we start funding rehabilitation for council reserves for immediate gratification versus, hey, look, let's plan this and get the council to say this is what they're going to do, and be able to maintain it, because now there's going to be mowing, then there should be the long-term plan.
I support that after we have set it back up, and I actually think there's another way of looking at it rather than rehabilitation, because you're actually, right now it's paddock. It's not rehabilitating, it's actually recreating something. If it was in a different paddock, would we call it placemaking? And I hear you say about the ongoing maintenance costs, but right now I can imagine that we will have people from our own community so passionate about this that they are probably looking to do a lot of that themselves. I move, or I support it moving into the responsibility of council through the long-term plan, but we're just trying to reinstigate sports in our community with all of the benefits that it brings right now, and not wait for the council's processes and hope that we might get some support through that.
And also, when we hold events such as the rugby or the sports, we utilise the parks out here and we utilise another park that we can. This will bring another space that will bring in people to the small town of Darwin and help the small little businesses that are in Darwin. A lot of the mahi that is done and events that are held over in South Hokianga and even North Hokianga, they have to utilise the spaces out in Kaikohe, which brings and takes the people who are visiting, watching and observing out to Kaikohe to spend money. Now that's great for Kaikohe, but what about Hokianga when it's actually a Hokianga event?
So I didn't quite catch what the lady said, but so where were the alternatives to this? Was it only Kaikohe? Was it the alternatives?
They do, yeah. They do rounds to support the different teams. So Whirinaki has a sports ground that they look after, and I think the other one is at the Upanoni area school. But this is part of the reinvigoration of sports, which has almost died out in the last decade. So this is part of having options and moving around and creating opportunity and excitement and all of the other benefits that come, so that Rawene can again be a place where sports.
So this funding isn't about this. It's about something bigger and unsaid and undocumented. That's what I'm trying to say here. So now this has become the rehabilitation of sports and rehabilitation of Rawene rather than the holding of this particular sport.
It's not just an event like that. That's what I was asking. This isn't a one-off. Let's spend a little bit of money to flatten out a paddock. This is about Catherine said it. It's about rehabilitating a sports field, which is bigger than one event. So yeah.
Okay, we're going to put that recommendation to the floor. All those in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those against? Any abstentions? Were you abstaining, Councillor Vesich?
No.
No.
Through the chair, that leaves you with $32,029 in your community grant and $95,273 in your placemaking.
Thank you.
Yes. I wondered where you got your 3,000 maths from.
Okay, moving on to page 205. No, we're not. 8.6, town beautification upgrades to Broadway Kaikohe. We have a separate document like that here. And we have Emma in the room with us today. Kia ora, Emma. The recommendation on page 4 is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve use of its $57,000 town beautification funding for capital works improvement paid to Whanau Holdings Limited last financial year to create landscape areas which may include street furniture and bike racks in the no stopping areas either side of the pedestrian crossing on Broadway, Kaikohe, between Clifford Street and Reihara Street and the surrounding footpath. And B, any landscaping and construction drawings must be endorsed by the Whanau District Council Parks and Reserves Planner before implementation by Far North Holdings Limited. Do I have a mover for that recommendation?
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Vesich. I will second that.
Discussion. We agreed to that funding already in the previous thing, but we didn't speak with specific about its use, and this is what has been decided by the trust.
I'm curious, the comment can only be spent on capital investment, and the reason I'm curious is is there such? It came out of our placemaking fund, as I understand, early on, and therefore should be subject to the policy of that fund, which was I think for this year folded into the other fund, and there was no such restrictions. So where does the restriction for the use of this money for capital expense only come from?
Emma, you can explain that.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, so just to explain the reason for this report. So when we came to you guys back in May, and sought permission to transfer the funds for this project to Farm Holdings. That was a total of, the total we transferred was 117,000, and that was broken up over a range of different locations. So we had 50,000 from your placemaking fund, which was the amount of money that you had allocated at the very start in July last year. We had $57,000, which was from the Town Beautification Fund, which is capital funding internally. So that's an internal council operations budget. And then there was 10,000 for project management that came out of your placemaking. So that 57 is internal operating budget that's been transferred to Farm Holdings. But we still need to adhere to that.
But you just going back to your paragraph there, probably, and you said it twice, okay, for the two sentences, okay. We have an internal operating budget. It's from a council operating budget. Operations, by its very nature, is not capital, is it? And that's not how, whenever the councillors talk about operating budget versus a capital budget, they are separate.
Yeah, so did you
I was just going to pop in and say we discussed this with our finance team, and the town beautification budget is a CapEx budget.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Through the chair. So when I say operating, I mean as opposed to raw funding. That's community board funding. Yeah, it's internal funding.
No, I get that.
Operational, council's funding.
Thank you. Emma, have you finished?
Unless you want me to continue, I can.
Oh, just a partai and look, I think it's all great and we're moving somewhere, and this is our intention, that we wanted to do something great and tangible for Kaikohe. I have a small thing about the trees. So when we're moving this, is it implicit within this that you're going to cut those existing trees that people are saying are too big? Because as somebody who does a lot of tree planting and working with trees, I think there's a cheaper and alternative thing that those trees can be managed and not cut down, which would save the putia and could still look good and could be refreshed. But I love the landscaping, the street furniture, bike rack, beautification idea. My check-in is this implicit that those trees get cut down if I agree?
No.
Good.
We've got an arborist looking at ways that we can manage the trees and not have them removed.
Because have you seen that camellia up at the end of the street? It's beautiful and it just needs a trim.
That's right. Okay. Thank you. Any further questions for Emma? Thank you, Emma, for your detailed report and the work that you've done. I'll put that recommendation to the floor. All those in favour? Say aye. Any against? Any abstentions? No. Okay. And Dolly's left the building, but I think she's just gone to check on a little matter. So she should be there shortly. Where are we up to? We're up to page 253, 9.1 training funding breakdown. Melissa's gone too. Back to yours. No, I wasn't suggesting that I've done the report.
I'll say this.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Vucic. I've moved it and you've seconded it.
So much to the design, so I have to see.
All right.
Okay, that's okay.
You have any questions for Catherine? Anybody? No.
Just that I think it's great that we can have this putia available to support our communities and more and more smaller communities in our outreach places across the ward, and to support them who achieve tenfold that of perhaps other organisations did it instead. So I'm really happy that we support so many groups across our district.
Thank you. I'll put that recommendation to the floor. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Any abstentions? That is carried. Moving on to page 258, item 9.2. The reserves, the recommendations that Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board received the report reserve on Rankahi Road, Kaikohe Lot 14 DP, 38215, options for other uses. Thank you, Member Edmonds. I will second that. Do you have any kōrero around that?
Oh,
Member Edmonds?
thank you. That's exactly what I moved for last time. It gives us an indication. So what happens if anybody asks about this reserve in the future? Is this report attached to the reserve and can be called at a moment's notice?
Through the chair, the report writer is online.
Oh, sorry, there you go. Robert.
Oh, she's in the room.
She's not online, she's running behind now.
This is just another.
You're not a
Welcome, Robin. Did you manage to hear that question from Member Edmonds?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
Sorry.
Okay.
Happy to answer any questions, though.
So I don't normally thank staff for their work, but I will in this case because it's exactly what I wanted to do. You achieved the task to the level I wanted rather than a great big production number, which I think you were worried about. Does this get attached to the reserve so that if anybody asks about the reserve or there's any work on that reserve and later on it's immediately found? I mean, or is this put away just in our heads?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for including your report. A lot of this information is in my reports and my feed at the moment. However, we do have an open space strategy being prepared, and so hopefully a lot of this is incorporated into that and made public.
Thank you, Robin. Any further questions for Robin? Okay, I'll put that.
We went up and had a look after that other day, and it's tucked away behind something. And a couple of the neighbours have taken down their fences and used the fields as their access to their house or as to their property. And one actually uses it as his car park, and it almost looks like it's rubbished up. So just saying.
Okay, thank you. I'll put that recommendation to the floor. All those in favour, say aye. Aye. Any against? Any abstentions? No. Thank you, Robin. Moving on to the open resolutions and actions update on page 264.
That's for the day.
Oh, did you say you'll move that? Yeah. Oh, thank you. I'll second that. Any order around the open resolutions report? No. Okay, I'll move that recommendation. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Any abstentions? No. Okay. And we come to the end of our meeting. And just before we close with karakia, I just want to acknowledge our members, community board members, for their service and their mahi over the last 3 years. We have a couple of members in the room and maybe not online, but 3 members that I just want to acknowledge and thank for your mahi over the triennium, and they are Member Felia. He's a little tohu in recognition of your service to the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board, and to Member Gundry. To you too, lovely. Thank you. And and to Member Edwards, who isn't with us today, who has put her apologies in, but just it's been awesome to work with you all for the last 3 years, and thank you for the mahi and the contribution you've made to all our board. And with that, and saying that, as I do often, ask Member Gundry to close our meeting with Kate. Well, in the live stream, please don't all rush